You're listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Sports Radio Detroit is proud to present the Whip and Neigh podcast on sportsradiodetroit.com SRD with your show host Pete Spivak, a broadcaster and horse racing handicapper, and Dana Garuder, a sports writer and horse racing handicapper. This episode welcomes guest host Aaron Hayes, who's a freelance horse racing writer and handicapper. And now here comes the Whip and Neigh podcast on sportsradiodetroit.com with Pete, Dana, and Aaron. Oh yeah, welcome in to another episode of the Whip and Neigh podcast here on sportsradiodetroit.com SRD. I am indeed one of the show hosts. I am Pete Spivak, and you can hear me doing sports and traffic updates in the Metro Detroit area for all of the iHeart media stations. And with me are my two usual co-hosts, one being the great Dana Garuder, a sports writer and professional handicapper. And Dana, how are you tonight?
Very well.
All right, my friend. And then the other one is the great Aaron Hayes, who's also a professional racing handicapper and big fan of the sport. Aaron, how are you, my friend?
What up, though, Pete? How you doing?
Good to have you back after your absence last week. Well,
Great to be back.
Hey, always great to have you on the show, my friend. And what the three of us do here on the Whip and Neigh podcast is break down the American prep race schedule, which leads to the Kentucky Derby on the first Saturday in May. American, European, and Japanese horses compete for 20 gates at the Kentucky Derby by racing a 35-race prep schedule from September through April. All prep races award points to the top 4 finishers and the top 20 horses. With the most points will earn a gate at the Kentucky Derby. There's a spot for 18 American horses, 1 European champ, and 1 Japanese champ. So with that, let's get into what happened last week. We had 3 prep races: the Gotham Stakes, the Tampa Bay Derby, and the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Dana, what happened last week, my friend?
Well, let's start off with the Gotham Stakes that was run at Aqueduct in New York. The winner was horse I touted. Give myself a little pat on the back. Heikel won the race, and the race unfolded just as I kind of expected. Very hot pace, fractions of 44 and 2 for 4 furlongs and 109 and 1 for 6 furlongs. That's the sprinting fractions in a mile race. Heikel took advantage of those fractions and rallied from deep to win it for trainer Kieran McLaughlin and rider Raheem Marah. Finishing second by just a length behind was Mind Control. And finishing third was the favorite Instagram, who kind of ran just kind of a flat race. Did manage to get up for third, just ahead of the pace setter, much better. The Heikel paid $10.80 to win, and the exacta with Mind Control paid $48. And then we'll move over to the Tampa Bay Derby, which was shockingly run in Tampa. And the winner was Tacitus, who was making his first start of the year for Hall of Fame trainer, I should say, Billy Mott. The horse, a very similar race to the Gotham, very hot pace, fraction of 109 and 2 for 6 furlongs in the mile and a 16th race. Tacitus slipped up the rail, rallying from 7th after 6 furlongs. He was running 7th, and he won the race for Jose Ortiz was in the saddle. Finishing second was Outshine, a horse trained by Todd Pletcher, and finishing third was the favorite Win, who also rallied from the outside but didn't have quite as much punch as he did in shorter distances. The exacta there paid a nice $129, and the winner paid $19.80 to win. Tacitus, I believe, will move on to the Wood Memorial and ship up north for his last prep race. And then we'll turn our attention to the Turfway Park race, the race run on synthetic track. That was won by Some Like It Hot Brown, the favorite, under Tyler Gaffalione. Went to the front, set some pretty quick fractions, and held on the whole way, was much the best winner. Finishing second was Dynamic Racer, went off at 45-1. And Moonster was the third place finisher at 59-1. That set up a nice triple that paid nearly $1,200 for a $2 bet. The connections for Some Like It Hot Brown, who's obviously out of Big Brown, is Michael Maker, who's won this race numerous times. That horse will move on to the Bluegrass, see if he can run as well on the regular dirt as he does on the synthetic. So with that, I will send it back to Pete.
I appreciate your breakdown there, Dana. Thanks very much. Real quick, before we move on, I just want to ask Aaron a quick question. Aaron, do you have any opinion on the Gotham with Heichel winning at 4-1?
That was a very impressive run down the stretch by him. I didn't think he was going to get there, and I was surprised that he actually ran those horses down. But the fractions were very fast and very hot, so it was nice to see him close into those fractions. So if he finds a hot pace into the Derby, you might see him sniffing the board.
And did you have any opinion on Tacitus from the Tampa Bay Derby?
It was a nice run by him. I think he closed up the rail with who was on him? I believe Ortiz was on him.
Ortiz.
Correct.
Yeah. That was a very, very, very nice run by him. And like if he gets another hot pace as well, then you can see him closing later in the Derby as well.
And I'm not asking you a personal question here. I'm asking you an overall question. What do you think of Some Like It Hot Brown?
Some Like It Hot Brown. Well, you know what? I have no idea what to do with that horse. Just coming off of those, coming off the synthetic race at Turfway, but I believe Animal Kingdom won there a while ago off that synthetic. So, I mean, maybe it's time for history to repeat itself or whatnot. But it's kind of hard to go off that form off of Turfway.
Gotcha. Well, we'll see how the road pans out as we move on with the remaining prep races as we get closer to May. Well, I wanted to just break down the news real quick. Santa Anita reopened training this week. And on a Thursday, today, when we record the show, another horse passed away in training, breaking both his her front legs, and had to be euthanized on the track. So the total of deaths is now 22 since the track opened for the winter meet in late December. And on Thursday, that would be Princess Lil B. She broke her two front legs and had to be euthanized on the track. The Stronach Group announced today that Santa Anita and Golden Gate Fields will become race day medication-free tracks, and the first of their kind in North America, by the way. Horses in training will only be allowed therapeutic medication. Also, complete transparency of vet records will now be available. And the rules I just ran down are just a couple in the long line of major changes coming to racing on the West Coast. Real quick, any of you guys have any comments on that?
To be honest with you, I don't really get into the specifics of it, because I don't know what to do to fix this situation. But what does kind of concern me or draws a red flag is the Stronach Group. They own quite a few racetracks, but they only mentioned two of them. So I just want to know why they won't do it for Gulfstream and the other ones as well. If it's the first of its kind in the country, I think they should expand it through all their racetracks. But I don't know. I don't know what to do to fix this situation. It's really unfortunate, but I think that if they want to do anything more, they should expand it to other ones.
Good point. Dana, any quick comments?
Yeah, well, I'm not quite sure what the issue is. Not knowing where all these breakdowns occurred at what points of the track, where is it all happening in the backstretch, in the front, or is it everywhere? It's just kind of amazing that many horses have gone down, and without any obvious thing. Obviously, it's not like they have potholes on the track, so it's kind of hard to figure out exactly why it's happening. I know, obviously, LASIK has been around ever since I've been handicapping 40 years, so I don't know if that's necessarily the thing. I'd like to see drug-free racing, but one of the problems out there now is Santa Anita's had enough, and Golden Gate have had enough trouble getting full fields. I mean, they've run a lot of 6 and 7 horse fields. There's sometimes even 5 horse fields, and with the stricter medication rules, I'm wondering just how bettable the races are going to be out there, because there might not be too many big fields. I mean, and that's kind of a lifeblood. That's an underrated aspect of horse racing, is having, at least 7 or 8 horses in every race, because that makes it a much more palatable betting race. If you have a lot of 5 or 6 horse fields, you're not going to get a lot of people investing a lot of money in the races. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. I like the idea, but we'll see how it works.
Well, obviously, we're going to have to wait to see how it works. That's for darn sure, because They got a lot of changes coming out there, at least for West Coast racing. So the other piece of news, real quick, is that the Rebel Stakes have officially been split into 2 divisions with the cancellation of the San Felipe from Santa Anita. And that's where we are going to head. We're going to head to breaking down those 2 races coming up. But before we do, I would just like to remind everybody to log on to sportsradiodetroit.com, SRD. And make sure that you save us to your browser and star us or whatever you have to do, because coming up very soon, actually next week, will be the Detroit Favorite Female Personality voting thing that we do every year. It's very, very popular. So make sure you log on to sportsradiodetroit.com, SRD, and check out the Detroit's Favorite Female Personality Voting Bracket Challenge, as we do it bracket style, March Madness style, and see who the winner is. So make sure you guys vote only on sportsradiodetroit.com, SRD. So with that, let's head into Saturday's Grade 2 First Division. 1 mile and a 16th, $750,000 Oaklawn Park Saturday's $750,000 Rebel Stakes from the outstanding Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. This will be race 8 on your card. Now, we do know that the points have been split up. So it's 37.5 points to the winner for each race. So this race, for the race 8, will be a field of 9 horses. Post time set for around 5:57 Eastern Standard Time. Weather mostly sunny, high near 60. We have 9 horses in the field. Your favorite is the 9 Improbable at 3-5 on the morning line. Aaron, my friend, what is your breakdown?
Well, I'm not going to get fancy with this, and I'm just going to go with Bob Baffert and Drayton Van Dyke with Improbable. 3 for 3 lifetime, 100 speed, Briz rating his last race, winning the grade 1 Losal. What I like impressive about this horse, though, is when he stalked and he got into the stretch, he increased his lead. I love that with horses. In the stretch, in the last 2 races, he had the lead by a length. He won by 5 lengths. The race before then, in the Street Sense, he was in the stretch, winning by a length. He won by 7 1/4. So it shows that he's not messing around. He's going straight. I mean, not going straight, but he's going straight. But he's getting to the wire. So I really like that about Improbable. Drayton Van Dyke, he comes in, he ships in from California to stay on him, and I think this race is really all about the trip. He's going to be in prime stalking mode, coming from the 9 post. But what really is going to set him up is, I believe, is the 7 and the 8. Those 2 horses are going to want to go pretty fast. So I believe that he'll be in a prime stalking position right off those 2 early speed horses. And the second horse that I'm picking is the speed horse that I was speaking of, the 8 Galilean. He won his last race at Santa Anita, going 1 mile and 16th. But he's only been going up against state-bred horses. So this is his first graded stakes. And Flavian Pratt, he's rode him the last 2 times, and he's won by 4 lengths and 9 lengths in his last 2 races. So that's also impressive. I believe Jerry Hollendorfer has this one ready to go. They paid $600,000 for this horse. He has 3 wins out of 4 starts, and he has early speed. So, and he's out of Uncle Mo. So if he can get up there and get to the lead, it's possible that he can. Hold on. I think, like I said, I think Improbable will win, but I think that he will have the lead and Improbable will stalk him, and it probably would be a duel between these 2. And my last horse I'm picking is the 4 horse, Easy Shot. Now, this horse broke his maiden at Del Mar, going 6.5, and then he came into the Sham, and he was 87-1. And then that was a race that was won by Gunmetal Gray, came from way out of it. But if you watch the replay, he was coming as well, but he got shut off and he got steadied at the 16th pole, and he was coming at 87-1, and he definitely would have had a better placing than the 5th that you see on the form. And in the last race, I'm just going to really kind of throw out really a 5-horse field. It turned into be a 4-horse field, but one of the horses breaking down on the backstretch. But it was a slop. It was a slop fest out there, going 1 mile and 16th in the Robert Lewis. He closed into the lead, but he wasn't catching mucho gusto. And Gunmetal Gray ended up passing him barely right at the wire. So that'll be my 3rd pick. So I'm going with 9 Improbable, 8 Galilean, and number 4 Easy Shot. And with that being said, Dana, who are you picking?
Well, I'm going with Improbable as well. I mean, if you ask me who who I think is the favorite for the Derby, who would be my top choice right now, it would be Improbable. He's done nothing wrong in any of his 3 starts. And even though he's a son of City Zippo, usually breeds speed horses, turf horses. I mean, he looks like he can go further along in the distances. This one's only a mile and a 16th there, and he's got a really nice outside post, so you won't have anybody banging into him from the other, at least one side. And so I think he'll just stalk and make a nice move and do his usual thing as long as he's ready to go in his first start of his 3-year-old campaign. My second choice is going to be the rail horse, Extra Hope, ridden by Mike Smith, another California shipper. This is a Richard Mandela trained horse. He ran in the Los Al Futurity, lost to Improbable by 8 lengths, but in that particular race, he was banged around in the first turn. He got into some trouble, not of his own doing, and really kind of got eliminated there in the first turn. And then he ran in an optional claiming race in his last race at Santa Anita in the slop, and he won by three and a quarter lengths. And he set a pretty hot pace there. I don't think he's going to be right on the lead. I think he's going to be stalking as well from his rail post. So I think it's going to be an Improbable Extra Hope Exacta. And my third choice is going to be the consistent long-range Toddy, who's right next to Extra Hope in the starting gate. Long-range Toddy finished third in the Southwest Stakes. He finished second in the Smarty Jones Stakes. He's always right there. He always gives an honest effort. Trained by Steve Asmussen, who is the king of Oaklawn. And so I think he's going to get a share here. So it's going to be Improbable, Extra Hope, and Long-range Toddy for me. With that, Pete Spider.
Hey, thanks very much, gentlemen. I appreciate all of your breakdowns. Real quick, I really think that this horse race is going to be won by the 9-horse Improbable with Drayden Van Dyke and Bob Baffert, the combination 3-5 on the morning line. He's 3-5 on the morning line for a reason, because he overshadows the competition in this field, and he should be an easy winner. So with that being said, let me get into what I think the race pace is going to be. I think Aaron and Dana pretty much mentioned it. Aaron more so. I think that Aaron is correct. I think the 7, 8, and 9 will go out for the lead, with the 9 basically in more of a stalking position and letting the 7 and the 8 do all the work. I see the 1, 2, 4, 5 in the second tier, and I see the 3 and the 6 coming from the back of the pack. Now, the 6-horse, 9th Street, is taking off his blinkers. He's a long shot where this distance may be his ending, so you don't have to worry about that at 50-1. One horse I do want to make mention of, Extra Hope, horse with very good class. He's the 1 horse. He's 6-1 on the morning line. He and Improbable are the only 2 horses in this field with Grade 1 experience, and I think that says a lot, especially with the competition being, I would say, somewhat subpar. And with the 1 horse coming from the second tier with a pretty fast pace, I see the 1 horse gathering up Classy John, the 7 horse, and even the 8 Galilean. Now, the one problem I do have with the 8 Galilean, he is a very good horse that runs good speed, but Aaron also mentioned that he's been running against stake class horses. I mean, he's moving up in class to stakes horses. He's not running against your fairground, your fairground favorites over there, at local tracks in around the country. He's racing against class competition, and he's going to be from the front, so he's going to be bullied. I wonder if that will actually sort of dig into Galilean's him being so sought after and bet on, because he's 3-1 on the morning line. But I think I'm going to be shying away from him. I really see the 9 being your overall winner. I like the 1, the extra hope, to also be there as well, because again, he's used to Grade 1 competition. I think he should be ready for this race, no problem. I like the 2, the long-range Toddy. Now, he lost by a neck to Gray Attempt in the Smarty Jones Stakes. He ran well in the Grade 3 Southwest Stakes. A good chance he's going to hit the board here with a fast early pace. I think that the long-range Toddy, also coming from the second tier, will hit the board as well. And the 4, Easy Shot. Interesting long shot here, because he's on the improve since moving up in class from maiden claimers, and he's run 2 good. He has had 2 good runs in the Grade 3 Shams and the Robert B. Lewis Stakes, and he should hit the board. I really like the 4 horse at 15-1 on the morning line. The Easy Shot, the 4 horse, I think that he's actually going to hit the board and make you some money. So play with the 1, 2, 4, 9. I like the 9 on top with the 1, 2, 4 behind him. That's the way I'm going to go. So the 9 Improbable, followed by the 1 Extra Hope, the 2 Long Range Toddy, and the 4 Easy Shot. Gentlemen, any more comments on?
Yeah, I also like long range tighty too. They took Richard Aramia off of him and put John Court on him. His last race, he like you said, he got shut off. He was behind a wall of horses. So if he has a decent trip this time, he might be able to close into it,
Gotcha.
into
Dana?
a nice little pace.
Dana?
You're following my blueprint here.
Hey, you have a good blueprint. I like the way you build things.
That's it.
All right. Well, very good, gentlemen. Well, that'll take care of Division 1. That is our picks. So let's move on to Division 2. But before we do that, I would like to remind everyone to log on to sportsradiodetroit.com and check out the latest episodes of Tigers SRD. Roger and Chris provide more spring training news, and not just on the Tigers, but other Major League Baseball teams as well. Plus, they will discuss all the latest breaking news from around the baseball world as the season is getting ready to open up here in about 2 weeks, believe it or not. So that's Tigers SRD with Roger and Chris, only on Sports Radio, Detroit.com SRD. So, gentlemen, let's get into Saturday's Grade 2 second division of the 1 mile and 16th $750,000 Rebel Stakes from the outstanding Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas, where both you two are going to find a retirement home someday and become roommates. This will be race 10 on your card. And again, 37.5 points go to the winner. It's a field of 10 horses. Post time for the second division set for around 7:06 Eastern Standard Time. And again, the weather is mostly sunny, a high near 60 for Saturday. With that being said, we have a 10-horse field for Division 2 with 5 game winner, your 2-year-old champion, making his 3-year-old debut as your morning line favorite at 4-5. Aaron, what do you have?
Well, to quote the great Larry Comas in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he doesn't know how to lose. He's game winner. He's the best horse in this race. Out of 4 starts, he's ran in 3 grade 1s, and he's won them all, obviously, because he's 4 for 4. Bob Baffert shipping in with Joel Rosario. This looks like a winning combination. This horse is really the easy class of this race. And it really, to me, is not even about game winner. It's really about who else is in this race. There's 7 other horses who've either only won a maiden, an optional claimer, or a straight maiden. So there's really not that much competition in this race at all, dealing with a horse who's 4 for 4 with 3 grade 1s, and Bob Baffert is shipping him in. So he looks to be an easy winner to me. His last race in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he was 6 and he was wide throughout. The field was kind of bad with Knicks Go and Singleman. They haven't came back as well as they ran in that race. But he pretty much just dominated that last race. So I would take on top game winner. The second horse I'm going to choose is the 4, Jersey Agenda. This horse had some trouble last race in the Southwest Stakes. He has only like one way to go, and that's to the top. And he got into a very, very, very heavy speed duel with Gray Attempt. And they duked it out and got to bumping around the turn. And next thing you know, they weren't around coming down the stretch. So I believe that Jose Ortiz, who comes in to ride in Santana's off, I believe that he'll be able to settle him down. There really isn't that much speed in this race. So I look for him to get the lead. And hopefully he should be able to stay around, but I believe the game winner will eventually stalk and pass him. But I think that he could hold on for second. And my third pick is the 10-horse, Captain Von Trapp. Now, I think that the hometown guy, Ramon Vasquez, I think that he will just have the familiarity with the track and just bring this long shot in. He's improved in his last 3 races on his speed rating. He's won his last 2. Obviously, there isn't that much class there. But Steve Asmussen trains this horse. He's hit the board 4 out of 5 times. And maybe he can just come from out the back of the pack and hit third. So I have 5 game winner, 4 Jersey Agenda, and 10 Captain Von Trapp. With that being said, who do you like, Dana?
Well, I have a question for Pete here.
Yes, sir.
The 2-horse Laughing Fox, what is his odds?
Laughing Fox is at the odds of 10-1.
All right. Well, that's
so you can make some money. Do not steal my pick.
That's my pick. I'm looking to beat the favorite here, and I like this horse because he's kind of the now horse, and he's kind of the local horse here. He ran 2 races last year as a maiden and didn't do much. And sometimes when you have a horse like that, they kind of drop them into the maiden claimers and stuff. But this horse, they spent $375,000 on. They had high hopes for this horse, and they figured him out because January 25th he broke his maiden at a mile and a 16th at Oakland Park, chasing a slow pace. And then the next time out, he got a nice big fast pace. He got banged around early in the race, and then Santana, the jockey, rode him well after that. He slipped him up the rail, split horses, and edged away in the stretch, earning a nice 87 biter speed figure, which is not too far away from game winner. And I think this horse could maybe improve a little bit more off of that effort. Third race in the form cycle here, and Steve Asmussen is the king of Oakland. He's the best. He's the top trainer there every year. So I think it's going to be an Asmussen Santana long shot special there. Laughing Fox to win it with help of a hot pace, just like we've seen in some of the other prep races. Second, I'm going to go with game winner, and I think it's going to hit the board. And my third choice is going to be Gunmetal Gray, who's been running out in California and has been pretty consistent out there and didn't have any pace to run into in the Robert Lewis, but still finished second. I think he's going to get some good pace here. Flavian Pratt is replacing Smith as the jockey. And so I think he's going to finish third. But my top choice is going to be the 2, Laughing Fox. And with that, back to Pete.
Well, there goes my breakdown, and that's the end of the show. Thanks very much for listening, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm actually not kidding. You just took my pick. What is your problem,
All right.
Dana?
Well,
man, it's kind of funny, actually, that we both sort of think alike. Actually, not funny, kind of scary, maybe, that we both think alike. But before I get into my full breakdown, yeah, I mean, I really am kind of leaning towards either the 5-game winner or the 2 Laughing Fox. That is definite. So before I let you know which one I do like out of both of them, I want to let you know what I think the race pace is going to be. I see the 1, 4, and 6 going out to the front. I see the 3, 5, 7, and 9. They will be in the second tier, and the 2, 8, and 10 will be coming from the back. So with that being said, we go back to the 2, Laughing Fox. Dana pretty much ran it all down for you. He is the local expert at a mile and 16th at Oakland. He has won both starts at a mile and 16th from Oakland. He loves the fast pace, and he is on the improve after stretching out to 2 turns. So he is definitely a great horse to watch at 10-1 on the morning line. He will definitely drop in odds. The 5-game winner, the 2-year-old champ, class horse that's been off for 4 months. Now, hang on. Now before, everybody's like, oh, he's been off 4 months, better ignore him. The only reason why I want to say that it's kind of concerning is don't forget what happened last week. You had last week, you had Instagram. 6 months off. At 1-1, 6 months off. Everybody's like, oh, it's Instagram, no problem. And what happened to Instagram? Third. And so now you got game winner coming in with a 4-month layoff. It is Joel Rosario and Bob Baffert. So if there's anybody that can get a horse ready after a 4-month layoff, it's Bob Baffert. So now I don't know how good really the Breeders' Cup Juvenile was. I don't think it was like your top quality race this year as it has been in the past couple of years. But game winner is a game winner, and he can run all day, and he did win that one just fine by 2 1/4 lengths over a declining Knicks Go and Signalman. So you have to keep that in mind. How good of the competition did game winner beat in that race? So I have to keep that in mind. But I really do think that, honestly, it comes down to either the 5 or the 2, but I'll take the class. I'll take the 5-game winner on top. But I really think that 2, Laughing Fox, is extremely dangerous on his home track. The 7, Our Brain Trust. David Cohen is the best jockey that they have there at Oakland right now. So David Cohen is jumping on the back of Our Brain Trust. I think that's very interesting to have him as the jockey on Our Brain Trust. After all basically all the failures from the other jockeys, you get the best jockey out there right now at Oakland Park. at 23%. He's got 141 races under his belt. So David Cohen takes the back of our Brain Trust. That will only help out our Brain Trust as the race progresses. And then the 8 Gunmetal Gray will definitely be there. So play with the 2, 5, 7, 8. I like the 5 or the 2 on top. Again, with the 7 and the 8. Gentlemen, any more comments?
My only concern with Game Winner isn't Game Winner. It's Joel Rosario, and it's just something personal. Last time I was happy to bet Joel, it was at Gulfstream Park during the Fountain of Youth Day. He was 1-5 in the Devona Dale on Jaywalk. He ran 4th.
Oh.
Then he was 6-5 in the Fountain of Youth on Hidden Scroll, who I also liked. He ran 4th. Then he was 2-1 in the Dharma on Channel Maker, who I didn't want any part of, but he ran 4th. So
Man.
He was the favorite in all 3 of those races, and he ran 4th. So he will either win or run 4th.
You just undressed Joel Rosario, man. His career is over.
Oh, no. It's just over if I'm just hoping that he wins and he runs 4th.
Poor Joel Rosario. Yeah, he got fired basically from Hidden Scroll. Dana, any more comments from you?
Well, I guess there's one horse we didn't really mention that probably should be mentioned. That's Omaha Beach,
Okay.
which is what Mike Smith is riding. This horse has got some. I mean, he's got some blinding speed. He ran a slop last time, so I don't know how accurate these fractions were, but supposedly he ran 4 furlongs at 43-3 in that race and still won it. Broke his maiden by 9 lengths. So I think this Omaha Beach is going to be a big pace factor. And maybe he could just run them all off of their feet. I don't know. I certainly don't think that's going to happen in this race, but you got to at least respect that horse shipping in from Santa Anita.
I hear you on that. The only disrespect I have for Omaha Beach is that we don't know which version is going to show up, and his last win was on the slop. And I think that he's a slop horse, and that's all that he likes. So I really I actually tossed him.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Pete. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, he's not in my top 3, but I think we should at least mention him because he's I don't think he's 10-1 in this race. I think he's probably about a 5-1 or 6-1 shot.
Hey, he is 7-2 on the morning line.
Second choice.
So it's kind of weird that I'm throwing out a 7-2 morning line. He's actually the second favorite on the morning line at 7. I'm tossing him.
Yeah.
Absolutely tossing him.
I thought we ought to mention him.
Oh, no, I hear you.
Brain Trust, what you also mentioned earlier, I don't know what's going on with that Withers Stakes speed figure because it was a very high speed figure, but the horses that have been running since that race haven't done well, the other horses that ran in that race. So I think this is kind of a litmus test. If our Brain Trust is really that good as a speed figure would suggest, he should run well here. I'm very skeptical of that speed figure.
Well, I hear you. The only reason why I chose him, even after what you're mentioning about his Bayer speed figure ratings and his performance in the Grade 3 Withers, is that he has David Cohen on his back.
Yeah.
It's the best jockey out there.
Yep.
So that has to say something. So that's why I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that experience at Oaklawn that he knows exactly what to do and how to run that horse. So that's why I'm picking him.
All right.
It's all David Cohen for me. Well, gentlemen, that'll pretty much do it for our show. And coming up next week, we have 2 races to break down in our next show. We have the Louisiana Derby from Fairgrounds on Saturday, March 23rd. And then on Sunday, March 24th, is the Sunland Derby from Sunland Park in New Mexico. And that's I actually like that race. I actually enjoy that race every year. That's a good one. And I want to make mention that the Louisiana Derby from Fairgrounds on Saturday will be our first 100-point prep race on the schedule. The first of 7 100-point races on the schedule. So keep that in mind. So that is what we're going to do on the next show. So don't forget to tune in to other shows and podcasts here on sportsradiodetroit.com, SRD, including the Out of Bounds podcast, Parsons and Slow, Pearson's Piece, The Set Piece, Armchair Sports Talk, Mitten Sports Talk, Grave Discussions, The Laugh Track, Spinning the Wheels, SRD Ringside, and also don't forget to check back for the Tigers, Pistons, Wings, and Lions SRDs, and also don't forget to check back for more of the Whip and Neigh podcast as the Triple Crown season progresses. So thanks very much for listening. A reminder, I am one of the show hosts. I am Pete Spivak of iHeartMedia Detroit, and you can find me on Twitter at Son of USFL Dad. Aaron, where can people find you?
Catch me on Twitter, Hayes24. That's HAZE24 on Twitter.
And Dana?
DeGarudo on Twitter.
Thanks very much, gentlemen. As always, I appreciate all your help, and I appreciate our listeners listening in. And remember what Stan Laurel says, you can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be led. Good luck, hail, and farewell.
This has been an SRD production.